That sounds impossible, I know, but that's exactly how it felt. Like the mirror was one step ahead of me, already aware of a truth my brain hadn't caught up to yet. I leaned closer, heart thudding, and the face staring back wasn't distorted or fake or cartoonish. It was real. My hair, fell in soft layers around my face, longer than it had ever been, brushing my cheeks when I moved. My jaw looked smoother, less sharp. My eyes seemed bigger somehow, framed by lashes I definitely hadn't had yesterday. And when I opened my mouth to shout my best friend's name, the sound that came out was lighter, almost breathy, unfamiliar enough to make my stomach drop. No. No, 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 I whispered. I touched my face. Warm. Solid. Mine. But not the version of me I'd gone to sleep as. Panic surged, sharp and electric. My knees nearly gave out as memories crashed back, laughing too late into the night, my best friend's way too innocent smile, the way he'd said, "Trust me, you'll love this prank." This wasn't funny. This was my life. And it had just changed overnight. We'd been friends since childhood. The kind of friends who shared secrets, clothes, late-night rants about life. He was always the bold one, confident, mischievous, never afraid to push boundaries. I was the quieter half of the duo, the one who laughed but rarely led. So when he suggested a harmless prank during our weekend hangout, I didn't question it. I should have. I really should have. I woke up alone on his couch, head pounding slightly, sunlight filtering through the curtains. At first, everything felt normal, until I stood up and felt my balance shift, like my body had recalibrated overnight. I stumbled, catching myself on the armrest, and that's when I noticed my hands. They looked delicate. I ran to the bathroom. And here I was. My phone buzzed violently on the counter, almost making me jump out of my skin. His name flashed across the screen. "What did you do?" I demanded the second I answered. There was a pause. Then laughter, nervous, excited, unmistakably proud. "Okay, so, surprise." "This isn't a prank," I hissed, lowering my voice instinctively. This is permanent." "Is it?" he said carefully. "I mean, you look kinda amazing." I hung up. The silence afterward was deafening. Going home was a nightmare. Every step outside felt like walking into a spotlight. I tucked my hoodie tighter, painfully aware of how it hung differently now, how the fabric skimmed curves I'd never had before. People stared. Not aggressively, but enough to make my cheeks burn. On the bus, a woman smiled at me and said, "Love your hair." I froze. Thanks." My voice betrayed me again. Soft. Girly. I pressed my forehead against the window, heart racing. Fear tangled with embarrassment, confusion with something I didn't want to name yet. At home, I locked the door and slid down against it, breathing hard. My apartment looked the same, but I didn't belong in it the same way anymore. My clothes felt wrong. My posture felt wrong. Even the way I sat felt different. I called my mom. Hung up before she answered. I wasn't ready. The first day, I stayed inside. The second day, I tried to work remotely, camera off, voice muted. Messages poured in. "You okay? You look different in your profile pic. New style?" I didn't answer. Inside, I was unraveling. Who was I supposed to be now? What did this mean? Was I angry? Scared? Both? Yes. But not only that. That night, something shifted. I stood in front of my closet, staring at clothes I'd bought on impulse years ago and never worn outside. Soft fabrics. Neutral tones. A ribboned hoodie I'd laughed off as just comfy. My hands trembled as I pulled it on. It fit. Not just physically, but emotionally. The fabric hugged me gently, not hiding me, not exposing me. Just allowing me to exist. I caught my reflection again, and for the first time since waking up, I didn't flinch. I tilted my head. The girl in the mirror did the same. "Okay," I said quietly. "Let's just see." I experimented in small ways. Letting my hair down. Brushing it slowly, enjoying the way it moved. Trying on lip balm, then color. Practicing walking without stiffening my shoulders. Listening to how my voice changed when I stopped forcing it lower. Every discovery came with a spark of excitement, and guilt for feeling it. Was I betraying who I used to be? Or finally listening to something I'd buried. I stayed up late that night, curled on the couch, emotions swirling. Anger at my friend. Fear of the world. And underneath it all, curiosity that refused to be silenced. The weekend became my testing ground. I went out early in the morning, dressed simply, heart hammering. The grocery store felt like a stage. Every aisle, every glance, every excuse me felt amplified. But nothing terrible happened. A cashier asked if I wanted a bag. Someone held the door open for me. Life continued. At a coffee shop, the barista wrote a heart next to my name on the cup. I stared at it longer than necessary. That tiny gesture warmed something deep in my chest. I texted my best friend later that day. "We need to talk." He replied immediately. "Please don't hate me." We met at the park, sitting on opposite ends of a bench like strangers. He looked nervous. I felt complicated. "I didn't think it would go this far," he admitted. "It started as a joke. But you always said you wondered what it'd be like." "I said that once," I snapped. Then paused. "Maybe more than once." He swallowed. "I thought you might like it. I didn't ask for this." "I know," he said softly. "I'm sorry." The apology didn't fix everything, but it mattered. "I don't know who I am right now," I said, voice shaking. He looked at me, really looked. "You're still you. Just louder." That stuck with me. The following weeks were a blur of firsts. First time going to work in person. First time correcting someone. "Actually, I prefer this." First time catching my reflection in a store window and smiling without thinking. Confidence didn't arrive suddenly. It crept in, cautious and curious. I found joy in choosing outfits, in expressing myself without irony. I learned how to navigate stares, how to breathe through awkward questions. The climax came at a small get-together, friends from different parts of my life in one room. Laughter. Music. Then someone asked, loudly, "So, what's your deal now?" The room went quiet. My heart pounded. I could deflect. Joke. Shrug it off. Instead, I stood up straighter. "I'm figuring myself out," I said. "And I'm okay with that." A beat. Then someone clapped. Another smiled. The tension broke. I felt something crack open inside me, not fear, but relief. I don't know what the future holds. Whether this change is permanent or evolving. Whether I'll always look like this or shift again. But I know this. A prank forced me into the light. Fear taught me to stand still. And curiosity showed me who I could be. The morning after that party, I woke up with the strangest feeling. Not panic. Not confusion. Expectation. I lay there staring at the ceiling, sunlight spilling across my room, my body curled naturally on its side instead of sprawled out like it used to be. When I stretched, it felt right. My muscles moved differently now, less rigid, more fluid. Even the way I breathed felt calmer, like my body had finally stopped bracing for something bad to happen. That scared me more than the prank ever did. Because fear I understood. Comfort? That was unfamiliar territory. I rolled out of bed and padded toward the mirror, bare feet quiet against the floor. For a second, I hesitated, like I might catch myself doing something forbidden just by looking. Then I looked. She looked back with sleepy eyes and messy hair, cheeks slightly flushed, lips relaxed. Not shocked. Not distressed. Just waking up. "Good morning," I whispered. The sound of my own voice still surprised me, but it didn't hurt anymore. It didn't feel stolen. It felt borrowed, and maybe, just maybe, returned. The world kept testing me. At work, HR finally scheduled the meeting. The one I'd been half expecting, half dreading. I sat in a sterile office chair, fingers folded tightly in my lap, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. "So," the woman across from me said gently, "you've had a change." I nodded. "Yeah." She smiled, careful but kind. "Is there anything you need from us to feel comfortable?" I blinked. That wasn't the script I'd prepared for. I cleared my throat. "Just patience. I'm still figuring things out." "We can do that," she said without hesitation. When I walked out of that office, my legs felt weak, not from fear, but relief. I hadn't realized how tightly I'd been holding myself together until someone told me I didn't have to. That night, I did something bold. I went shopping. Not online. Not hidden tabs and private browsing. In public. My heart raced as I walked into the store, bright lights reflecting off mirrors and polished floors. Racks of clothes surrounded me, soft fabrics, gentle colors, possibilities everywhere. I pretended to browse casually, but every movement felt loaded. A sales associate approached. "Let me know if you need help." I nodded, unable to speak at first. In the fitting room, I tried on a simple dress. Nothing dramatic. Just something that flowed when I moved. When I stepped out and faced the mirror, my breath caught. The way it draped. The way it swayed. The way I stood in it. I smiled before I could stop myself. "Wow," the associate said from behind me. "That looks amazing on you." My eyes stung. "Thank you," I said, voice soft but steady. I bought it. My best friend texted me later that night. "You okay?" I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. "I don't forgive you yet," I typed. "But I don't hate this either." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then, "I'll wait." For both. That was the first time I felt like maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild something. Not the same friendship. Something more honest. The real confrontation came at a family dinner. I almost backed out. My hands shook as I stood outside my parents' house, the familiar front door suddenly feeling like a border checkpoint between two lives. I rang the bell anyway. My mom opened the door. She froze. Then she stepped forward and hugged me. "Oh," she whispered. "You look beautiful." I broke. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just quiet tears against her shoulder as years of unspoken tension leaked out of me. My dad was slower, more cautious, but he listened. He asked questions. He didn't walk away. That night, sitting at the table, laughing nervously, explaining awkwardly, I realized something monumental. I wasn't alone. Weeks passed. Confidence settled into my bones. I stopped shrinking when people looked at me. I stopped apologizing for taking up space. I learned how to enjoy compliments without deflecting them. I learned how to correct people without shame. One evening, getting ready to go out, I caught myself humming while applying lip gloss. I paused. Smiled. "Wow," I said softly. "You're really here." And she was. Not a prank. Not a phase. Not a mistake. A version of me that had always been waiting for permission. If you're still listening, if you've followed me through fear, embarrassment, anger, and this strange, glowing calm, here's what I want you to know. Sometimes life doesn't ask before it changes you. Sometimes the push comes from the place you least expect. And sometimes, what starts as a joke becomes a doorway. You don't have to rush through it. You don't have to label everything immediately. You just have to be honest with yourself.